Hey guys, how you going? Alright, moving on to the next fact. Hosted will always start negative conversations. What I mean by this is, next time you're at work or at college, university, out in a public setting, or just amongst a group of family or friends having a conversation, just stop and listen to the conversation that is taking place around you. You'll most likely find that in any given group or conversation or circumstance, there is generally always one person that will always start negative conversation. Most likely this person that is always the one to start negative conversation or generally inputs negative conversation into a conversation scenario, they're generally doing so under Archon influence. The reason they do this is, if you're in a group setting, having a group talk, a group discussion, and one person who is manipulated or hosted by an Archon injects one bit of negativity into that conversation, just stop and listen to the direction that conversation takes. You'll find by them injecting a bit of negativity into that conversation, the conversation will take on a negative undertone. So in a sense, what's basically happening is an Archon has manipulated and influenced that conversation to take on a negative tone, a negative agenda. Before long, you'll notice that everyone in that collective, that group, will start talking about negative things, be it politics, be it money concerns, be it about religion, be it about society, be it about anything, any given topic at that time, but it will have a negative undertone attached to it. What is basically happening is the Archons are manipulating and influencing that small group, that small collective, to give off negative energy. They are being harvested, squeezed for negative energy by leveraging or using a host to manipulate the direction of that conversation. So just for your own personal experience and just to see for yourself, next time you're listening to a conversation, just sit and listen. Just sit and listen to the direction that conversation is taking, and you'll generally notice the person that is always putting in negative comments. That person most likely is the person who's being hosted or manipulated by an Archon. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you something now and teach you and show you that you alone truly have a lot of potential and power within yourself to change this. The Archons don't want you knowing this. I'm here to show you. Basically, we'll use an example, a scenario. So just say you're sitting amongst a group of people and they're all having a conversation, right? Now, I'm going to use for this example a woman named Sally. So the conversation is taking place, and then all of a sudden one person will go, "Oh, that's Sally, isn't she ugly?" And then another person will go, "Oh yeah, that's Sally, she's fat and lazy." And another person will go, "Oh yeah, that's Sally, she's always annoying me and this and that, and she just gives me the shits." You are noticing now that this conversation is taking a negative tone in regards to someone, a woman named Sally. Now, you yourself may very well not even like this Sally woman, but try within yourself to find some positive things about this woman. So just say, for argument's sake, this Sally woman, yeah, all these things that they're saying may very well be true, but she's the type of woman who totally adores her children. Or she could very well be the type of woman where if you were down and out and didn't have money, she'd be the type of woman to give you her last $20 so you can get petrol to drive home, or to pay a bill, or to buy yourself some lunch because you had no money. She'd be the type of woman to do this kind of thing for you. Now sit and listen to the negative conversation that's taking place and basically inject a bit of caring, consideration and love into this conversation by doing it this way. Go, "Oh yeah guys, look, I understand what you're all saying, and you know, it's very well true what you were saying. Me personally," now this is if you don't, you could say, "Me personally, I'm not very fond of this Sally woman, but I've got to be honest, she does totally adore her children, and I admire that about her. And also, this Sally woman, if I'm down and out and don't have money, you're down and out and don't have money, you're down and out and don't have money, we all know that she'd be the type of woman to give us her last $20 if it meant it could help us out." And you watch their faces, they'll go, "Yeah, actually, yeah, she would." You alone have the power to take a negative conversation, pick it up and dump it on its head. Just by injecting a little bit of caring, consideration and compassion into a conversation, you can change the whole dynamic of that collective energy into a positive format, a positive spectrum. Please give it a try it for yourself, and I'm sure you'll be quite surprised with what you are able to do. If you do it and it does work, then keep practicing, keep trying, keep doing these things. You will notice in turn over time you will get better and better and better at it. By doing little things like this, we all have the power to make a change, make a difference in this world. Just by doing little things like that. You are not powerless, you are not weak, you are not the helpless little person that you are led to believe or drilled into suppressed into believing that you are. You are very powerful, you just don't know it. Please give this a try, and I'm sure you will notice and go, wow, this Jimmy guy was really onto something. You all have more power than you realise. The Archons just don't want you to see it or recognise it. Please give it a try. I'd like any feedback in regards to how it's worked out for you, any successful, information, then by all means, please leave a comment and share with me how it's worked out for you. All right, moving on. Okay, next fact. Temporary and permanent possessions. Now, I've personally noticed this myself. It appears that the Archons can perform what appears to be two types of hosting or possessions. There is what appears to be temporary, where, like I said earlier in my videos, is we're all susceptible to temporary hosting, where bang, they could host you and then leave again. This is on a temporary basis. They can also do what appears to be a permanent hosting. Now, I myself know because in the third month of 2014, I was actually targeted by these entities, the Archons, for a permanent hosting, a permanent possession. Now, the means they go about this, what it appears to be, and from what I've witnessed personally and been through and seen, is it almost appears like they perform a small ceremony or a ritual upon you. And during this time, they'll actually attach one of these Archons to you, to the very essence of who you are, to your energy. I was targeted for one of these, and I was amongst a group of people, and at the time I didn't even realise. It wasn't until later that I actually realised, hey, hang on, I know what they've tried to do. Now, they've tried to perform this upon me, and it did not work. It didn't work. Ever since then, they have been heavily attacking me, watching me, stalking me, if you will. They've infiltrated every aspect of my life. As much as credit as I'd like to take for saying that it didn't work out just because I am who I am, but I feel personally that I had some very powerful help, guidance, the good guys, call them, angels, spiritual guys, celestial beings, benevolent aliens, good spirits. Either way, the good guys, I feel, were there with me the whole way, and they're the reason it didn't happen. They're the reason it didn't work. They protected me the whole time. I personally like to take a quick second to say thank you very much to you guys. I couldn't have done it without you. I could not have done it without you. I would not be here now sharing what I've learnt with you all if it was not for them. I've since learnt that pretty much the Archons my entire life have made many attempts to kill me. Many attempts to kill me. I now know that it was the good ones, pretty much. They bailed my ass out big time. Throughout my whole life, they have bailed me out, helped me, and stood by me the entire time and wanted nothing in return from me. They have done this simply because they want to help. They are, the best friends you could ever have, and I'm blessed. It's a pleasure to have them by my side. My life would not be the same without them. I've just got to say that. All right, moving on. Lower and higher ranks. It almost appears that they have what would be considered a ranking system. I've noticed that in regards to the lower ranking ones, now this could be, mind you, because of temporary hosting or permanent hosting, but I've noticed the lower ranks or the temporary hosting ones will attach to someone or manipulate, host someone quickly, say something to tease, taunt you, or upset you, and then leave again. Generally, I've found that they are most likely the lower ranking Archons. The higher ranking ones, or the ones that are permanently attached to people, they will look you in the eye and say nasty things to try and taunt, hurt, and manipulate you. they will look you square in the eye. Now, you've got to learn to distinguish that, yes, that person may look you square in the eye and say nasty, mean things, but they are unaware that it's because of Archon influence. You've got to learn that when you're awake to the Archons, you've got to learn that every time you're speaking to a person that is in front of you, it is almost like a three-way conversation. There is you, the person you are talking to, and the entity attached to them in the background. You've got to try and detach from any personal feelings or insults that are thrown your way via this person, because they very well don't even realise that they're doing it. It's the Archon acting through them, trying to taunt you, tease you, and hurt you. You'll know when it's the higher ranking ones that will look you square in the eye and say nasty things, and it'll cut through you. It'll hurt. This is the higher ranking ones, or the permanently attached ones to these people that are doing this to you. Alright, moving on. Next fact. Their means of communication and subliminal taunts. I've since learnt, since my encounters, through this whole time, I've actually learnt how to listen for their communication. I've learnt that how they talk, how they communicate. They communicate through us, but the way they communicate is very cryptic. It's quite witty and clever, but if you're in tune and just pay attention and listen, you will pick up on it. The way they talk, it's very subliminal. It's actually hidden in amongst our conversation. So if you're sitting down talking to people, the Archons can communicate through us. Now, you'll think you're just talking in general, but their communication is hidden in amongst our conversation. Certain specific words and ways they go about it. It's very cryptic and witty. It's very clever, and it's very difficult to pick up on at first. But once you're in tune and you understand and pick up on it, it's everywhere. They've good and bad entities, I now know and realise, have been talking to me my whole life. I just failed to recognise. Now that I do and I understand their means of communication, I communicate with them on a daily basis, both good and bad ones. And they've been around my whole life, I now know this. I'll give you a quick example of the way they'd talk. Just say, for argument's sake, okay, this is for an argument's sake, just say you had a birthmark or something on your shoulder here, right? That you were very self-conscious about, you didn't want people seeing or anything, you felt embarrassed by this. Now, only your family members know about it. None of your close friends or people you work with or go to school with or anything like that are aware of this. Only your close family members know, and you know that they won't tell anyone about it. So just so you're sitting down in a group scenario, a group event where people are talking, you're amongst friends, colleagues, fellow friends or members, if you will. And you're sitting there talking, and one person that'll be under the influence or acting under Archon influence will say something in regards to, this is how they'll sort of taunt you and tease you. A person will go, oh yeah, the other day I was walking down the street and I seen this person with a birthmark here, and I've got to be honest, it was disgusting. And you stop and go, hang on, and that it cuts through you. It cuts straight through you. Like, it's like, oh, that really hurts you. It affects you. It hurts your psyche, your spirituality, your mentality. It's like getting knocked down, and you stop and think for a second. Oh, hang on, this person, they don't know. So you write it off. You naturally will write it off as just purely a coincidence. And think, oh, this is just a coincidence. They don't know. Yes, the person doesn't know, but the Archon attached to them or hosting them does know. You may very well have just thought, now, hang on, I've had a lot of scenarios like that in my life. Yes, you may very well have. What has just happened is an Archon has just rubbed shit in your face and you never even knew. They've deliberately done it to psychically, to affect your psyche, your mentality, your emotional state through someone, and that person doesn't even know. And most of the times you've written it off as just purely a coincidence. It wasn't a coincidence. It was an Archon insulting you, taunting you. You just weren't aware. So too with saying this, the good ones, they will communicate the same way, but they are more in a positive fashion, a positive sense. So just say you're the type of person where someone was broken down, their car was broken down on the side of the road, and you're the type of person where you've pulled up to help them out, offer them a ride or take them to the station, to the gas station or petrol station to get more petrol or gasoline for their vehicle. You're the type of person that would do these nice things to help someone out. So just say you're sitting in another group fashion, and Someone will go, oh, you know what? I still enjoy seeing when you see someone broken down on the side of the road, and there's still good people out there that will stop and offer assistance and try and help these people. It's good to see that those things still happen in society. If anything, I admire them type of people. I've got a lot of respect for them. And you stop and go, hang on, I've just recently done that the other day. What that was a good guy, basically saying, you know what, good on you, man. Good on you. You've done a nice thing for someone else, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. Good on you. This is how they communicate. It's hidden in amongst our conversation, and most likely every single one of you that are watching this video now, everyone on earth has had communication with them at one given point in their life. They just failed to recognise. I did myself for many years. I've only just recently woken up and realised their means of communication, and I'm actually able to communicate with them on a daily basis. But yeah, they're around, people. They're around, both good and bad. All right, moving on. The Archons, next fact, they will smell fear instantly. If you have any fear, feel any fear, they will smell it instantly like a bloodhound, and they will compound upon it. Best way I can explain it is if you're in a situation where someone has made you feel mildly scared, and then all of a sudden they up it a notch and they put you into a state of fear, and then they up it another notch and put you in a state of being terrified. This is most likely under Archon influence. The smallest amount of fear. Now, fear is their most preferred energy, their most preferred energetic food source or vibration. I know this, and yeah, they prefer the fear energy. All right. If you show or have a small amount of fear within you in regards to a topic or an intimidation or some sort of tactic or manipulation being put upon you, they will compound upon it. They will, the moment they smell that small bit of fear like a bloodhound, they'll be straight onto it and compound, and try and get it as deep a fear as possible for that scenario that's available to them at that time. Just be aware of that, and yeah, so they will use these tactics and means and manipulations to take a small amount of fear into, a terrified state as rapidly as possible, as quickly as they can. All right, so just be aware, and yeah, they'll do this on a very regular basis to everyone. I'm sure they've done it to all of you in some point in your life. You just failed to recognise that it was actually them doing so. All right, moving on. Okay, this is like a lead off from the last fact. Next fact. Don't be scared, they will know it and use it to full advantage. So pretty much like I said then, the moment they smell fear, they will try and compound upon it. What I need to say to you now was, like I said to you before, where if you feel that situation, you don't even have to verbally say it, but just look at that person and in your mind say, bless you, bless you. What that in a sense is doing is basically whacking this Archon across the nose, as if to say, go away, go away. If not, if you find yourself in a fearful state or a fearful position where someone's trying to intimidate you or put it over you, do something silly. Do something funny, silly, or stupid. You'll find, even at the risk of you looking like an idiot, they will snap out of it and walk away and leave you alone. It's only once you feed into that anger and you get aggressive back, then they get aggressive back at you, then you get aggressive back. In a sense, you're both being manipulated and taunted and used as a means to squeeze negative energy. If you find yourself in a situation where you're being taunted and teased, like I said, simply think the words bless you. If not, say something silly, say something funny, It will most likely snap the aggressor out of it, and then you can walk away relatively unscathed or completely unscathed. Just know that there is good watching over every single one of you, over all of us. There is good watching over us. You can only fall into the Archon's game if you allow yourself to. Just know that there is good watching over every single one of you, and you will walk out of that situation perfectly fine, perfectly fine. All right, moving on. Next fact. Remind yourself daily. They will try to make you forget and go back to sleep. What I mean by this is, once you're aware of them and awake to them, basically they will do their best to try and convince you that, oh, look, this was just a coincidence, it's just a strange random chain of coincidences or events that have happened. It's nothing to worry about. Just go about your daily life, your day-to-day life. They'll try and convince you of this subliminally, psychologically, and they'll try and implant these thoughts and feelings into your mind. Because the moment you go, oh yeah, it was just a coincidence, it was just, and forget about it, in a sense, once they're forgotten about, you have handed them back their power upon you. The moment you're aware of them and know what they can and can't do, then basically it makes it a lot harder for them. So I myself personally, whether or not you choose to do it or not is entirely your choice, but I myself personally remind myself every day that yes, they are a reality, and yes, they do indeed exist. By doing this, I'm constantly reminding myself that yes, they are around, and I'm more in tune to their deceptions, their tactics, the things they use, the means and capabilities they have upon us all. By doing that, reminding myself on a daily basis, it keeps me well awake to their existence. So whether or not you choose to do so is entirely your choice, but I find it works well for me. All right, moving on. Okay. Once again, I've said this earlier in one of the earlier videos, come to terms and accept all the bad that has happened in your life. They will use this to put you in a negative mind state. So I've pretty much already covered this in one of my earlier videos. You've got to learn to accept and overcome all the bad things that have happened to you in your life. While you still hold negative ties to all these things, series of events, psychological issues, damage, all the nasty things. I've had things happen to me in my life that I found very hard to overcome and accept, but I'm doing so, and I'm actually a better person for it. So I advise you do the same, and I'm sure at the end of it all, you too will be a better person for it. Overcome all negativity that has happened to you in your life and will present itself in the future. By doing this, you put yourself in a far better position to defend against them. Alright, I'll wrap this video up for now, and yeah, if you want to learn more information, please proceed to the next video. Thank you very much for your time.